This is the review video for the Stearns chapters 21 through 23 test. Question number 1 says, explain how the Russians freed themselves from Mongolian rule. The Muscovite princes used tax collection to help raise support to defeat the Mongolians. There was some prestige in the leadership that they used against the Mongolians. Also make sure that you're aware of, because of the Mongolians, Russia was very isolated from Asia and from Europe also. So Russia develops a very unique culture because they're separated from Western Europe. And then later, Eastern Europe is going to kind of serve as this bridge between Russia and Western Europe, where it's kind of caught in between both of those. Question number 2, what were some of the key policies of the earliest czars? They gained military support at the expense of peasants. They adopted serfdom, and they did this right around the time that Western Europe was Indian serfdom. They expanded to the south and the east. One of the reasons that they're going to be able to expand south and east is because there's a lack of strong nations that are standing in their way. Question number 3 is about Peter the Great and his policies of westernization. He sought to use it to increase his power. His reforms were largely targeted at the military. He also sought to reform the boyars as well. His namesake, St. Petersburg, was a key seaport at this point in time, and Catherine is going to carry on a lot of his policies of westernization, but is going to differ in her relationship with Russian nobility. Question number 4, the key characteristics of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans ruled roughly the same land as the Byzantines at the height of the Byzantine Empire. The Ottomans came to power after the Mongolians' fall in Southwest Asia. Be familiar with the Battle of Lepanto, which is going to weaken Ottoman control of the Mediterranean Sea a little bit. The Ottomans are going to adopt a lot of the Byzantine architectural styles, and their use of the Turkic language is going to make them distinct from other Muslim nations. The role of the women is going to decline, and that really happens in all of the Muslim empires during this time period, with the exception of the Mughals, which is what basically happens with them is the women's lives improve with the outlaw of sati and things like that, but towards the end of the Mughal Empire, women are going to vastly lose any of the rights that they had gained early in the Mughal Empire. So you can kind of say that the role of women is going to decline really in all 3 of these Muslim empires, the Ottomans, the Safavids, and the Mughals. Question number 5 talks about the cause for the rise of the Safavid Empire. It's really seated in the conflict between the Sunni and the Shia Muslims, and so the Shia Muslims are going to create the Safavid Empire to kind of break away from the Sunni Muslims. Number 6, the Mughal Empire. Akbar is going to outlaw sati. Akbar is also going to seek to create a new religion, which blends a lot of religions. Really, the reason he tries to do this is he wants to diminish the conflict between the Muslims and the Hindus. And also note that right after Akbar's death, basically this new faith that he has created diminishes, and nobody really uses it anymore. Question number 7 is about the Indian Ocean trade. The Portuguese dominated the Indian Ocean trade. The Spanish were primarily dominant in the Atlantic. China continued being a major producer of manufactured goods during this time period. The Portuguese ran into some trouble early on because of their lack of good trade, lack of manufactured goods. Nobody in Asia is really interested in the stuff that the Portuguese have. This is going to change with the introduction of silver from the New World. Let's see here. The trade route itself doesn't really change. Early on in the Indian Ocean trade, when we talked about it months ago, we said that they used the monsoon winds to trade because people from Asia had been going to Africa for hundreds and thousands of years, and they're hugging the coastline, and so that's going to continue taking place also during this time period. They're going to continue hugging the coastline. And the Europeans are going to be constantly trying to exert control in the Indian Ocean so that they can get rights for free trade with Asian nations. Number 8 is about the Ming and the Qing empires. The Ming are the ones that are accredited with overthrowing the Mongolian rule in China. And both the Ming and the Qing, remember the Qing are the ones that come after the Ming. They didn't exist at the same time. But both of these empires are going to engage in trade with the outside world. They're going to try to limit some of the influence that the Europeans had. They didn't want foreign influence to be too great in their empires. Question 9 is a brief overview of Japan's political system at this time. We're in a transition from feudalism into more of a bureaucratic style of government. Prior to the year 1500, it's dominated by feudalism. Fragmented daimyos are ruling Japan. Post 1500, we're going to see several daimyos rise that are going to work to unite Japan. So be familiar with guys like Hideyoshi. He's a real important one there. And then the Tokugawa shogunate is also going to be important. Most of the Europeans are going to be kicked out of Japan because the Japanese don't want their influence in their country. But the Dutch are going to be a group of people that are going to be allowed to stay. And question number 10 is about the spread of Christianity into Asia. It was never widely welcomed in Asia. In India, the caste system was a large hurdle. In China, ancestor worship was a large hurdle. The Jesuits are going to have some success because they're going to focus on converting the intellectual elites and the political elite in the countries of the people that they come in contact with. Some Christian missionaries are going to be criticized by Rome for allowing some of these people to continue ancestor worship and things like that. And for the short answers for this test, be familiar with the Muslim empires. You're going to be asked a question about that. And the second short answer you're going to be asked is going to be in regards to the Confucianist exams. So good luck studying.